Hello, this is Yo Sensei. Starting with Twinmotion version 2021, they have implemented two key features, Skydome and Path Tracing. These features will dramatically increase the quality of your spatial render, especially when you have ample natural lights. In today's tutorial, we will go over these features with a demo model of a retail space design. Okay, let's get started. So first, open up this Rhino file. And if you're not using Rhino, you can skip this process. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to tell you about how to prepare the file for Rhino. So in this file, there is this kind of like spatial design file. And I have like a previous version of this space. And for this version of this file, just delete everything that you don't use. Okay, so only keep the file the portion of the file that you want to use, and keep your file size small. And you can find your file size from here. It says 52 megabytes, which is very light. If you have more than 200 megabytes, it's there's something wrong with it. So keep it light. Okay. So first, we would like to select curve by running cell curve command, and hide all of the curves that you use in the process. And then also use cell pt command to select all the points that you used, and you can delete or hide. Okay, so now you can import the material template and then assign materials. In this file, I'm not going to get into it too much because the focus of it is going to be more on Twinmotion. One thing that a lot of people get confused is that when you are applying same type of material, same kind of object to a layer, right? So it says classic gray shiny is in this layer, and then all of these have unique materials. But when you move it to Twinmotion, it's grouped with something else. And I think most of the time what happens is that when you actually select this object and then go inside of the properties and then look at the material of it, sometimes the material is directly linked with this material. Sometimes people drag and drop materials, and then that kind of overrides the layer property of the materials. So one thing that I normally do is select everything and then go into material properties and then change it to use layer material. So by doing this, you can get the material to be all corresponding with your layer system. Okay, so that is that. So now you can select everything and then file, export selected, and then export as FBX motion builder. And then you can just set the polygon count to like something a little bit higher than the middle. That takes some time, but that's okay. Okay, so now we have this mesh that is about 40 megabytes, which is not bad. So now we open on Twinmotion. So I'm using 2020.1. So now inside of Twinmotion, you can import this file. And then collapse by material, up axis should be auto, and any conversion auto, fix UV texture on. And then it is importing. Okay, so first, typically you can't find it, so you have to kind of like move around. Easy way to change it is to just click on one of these and then press F key on your keyboard. First thing that I want you to do always is to turn off this stupid background. So just go to settings, location, background, and then turn off the background. Okay, I hate seeing this every time you do. Okay, so turn it off, and then you can then start applying materials. So in this case, I'm just going to apply materials, metal, aluminum, and so this part is standard. So I'm just going to like go relatively quickly. But one thing that I want you to do is when you are applying material that has things like wood flooring that has wood grain, always so this material is a little bit overstretched on this direction. So what you need to do is to change this part and change it to cubic UVs. Cubic UVs works for 90% of the time. So always change it to cubic UVs and then drag and drop. And then that way the material proportion is right. And so in this case, this one is going to be the wood beam. So I'm just going to change this to wood beam. Okay, so always use this, cubic UVs for this. Okay, for the rest of it, I'm just going to apply materials, and this is pretty much the same. So I'm just gonna kind of run it faster. Okay, this is kind of relatively, easy, straightforward material setting. So, that is that. And one thing that's going to, you will notice is that even though these are different layers, but when you apply the same material to them, it will be grouped together. So originally these are separate layers, but in Twinmotion you apply the same material to it, then it will become a same thing. And in order to get around it, there is this button called replace material or apply to object. So if you change this part to apply to object, then you are able to apply materials to individual part. That I think is going to be cool. Okay, so so this is relatively a simple material settings that I'm using. Okay, also I am going to add some trees. And in Twinmotion, the way to copy your object is different from Rhino. So what you need to do is, and then I'm going to change a little bit, number 8. The way to copy this object, you have to hold Shift key first, and then drag your object. And then this dialog box opens, and then instance or copy. So I'm just going to copy more instance to 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay, so that's good. So what the way when you copy as instance, what you can do is if you change the age of the tree, then all of these will change. If you don't do it as instance, then objects are individual objects. So that's the difference. So that's a basic, setting for this. Okay. So the new thing that I would like to talk about today is that Rhino's new function of Skydome and path tracing. So first, let's get into Skydome. So you can get inside of the settings and render. No, settings and lighting. And then there is Skydome. So you can turn this on. So what it does is that it imports the realistic kind of image-based lighting into the space, and it gives you this kind of like super realistic, sense of lighting here. And then if you turn off Skydome and turn it on, and then it gives you like very, very natural lighting system that goes into the space. So I think that's quite nice. And now you can like change some settings of the Skydome, so you can intensify the Skydome. So I normally like give it like relatively high, and match sun is where the sun is, it is going to match. And then rotate the Skydome until you get most light into the space. So I'm looking at some of the light casted by these shadow these casted by these trees, and then light coming in from this skylight, which is nice. So that's good. And then you can also go into Skydome setting and morning and afternoon, noon, low sun, and so I would like to find a clear day, and then if you can import these different types of Skydomes if you log into the Epic Games. Okay, so now you can like find a cool. So it's mostly the color that is going to affect, and so when I'm downloading these Skydomes, it's going to give you this kind of really nice, beautiful, dramatic sky, and this is really nice. So it's giving me more of this kind of bluish type of sky, and I'm changing the lighting setting so that the light is going to come from different direction. Yeah, so it's the sun is kind of in the way, and it's giving me this like really beautiful dramatic lighting, which is really cool. So you can play with these ones and come up with for this lighting setting. Yeah, so this is quite nice. Okay, so that's Skydome, and you can play with a lot of different ones. So play with it. The second thing, which is new to Twinmotion 2021, is this button that says toggle path tracing. So what it does is that it kind of like creates this kind of like traditional rendering type of thing, and it uses CPU, not GPU, to render the scene. And it kind of gives you a different, more realistic kind of like bounce of the light from these light sources and things like that. So, which I think nice. And it rendered, and it is very, very dark. So we are going to fix it. I think it's got something to do with the Skydome that we have chosen. So I'm going to select something that is a little bit more generic. So I will choose this one, and it's going to take some time. So that's good. And I would also like to rotate my Skydome so that the lighting is going to come into the space from the side. Pretty cool way. So this is pretty good. Okay, and so I will turn on the path tracing. So in this high setting of path tracing, it's going to take some time. So it's looking pretty dark. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my camera setting or lighting setting and adjust exposure. So click on exposure, auto exposure off, and then turn up exposure. So that things are, kind of going in a relatively realistic way. I think my lights are a little bit too intense, so I'm just going to turn it to like 10 nits. Or maybe 5. Yeah. Okay. And so that makes this scene looking more and more realistic between, when you do the path tracing and as well as Skydome. Okay, and also you should be building, interior lighting, especially for the night scene when you're doing, night renders with, spotlights underneath these light cams and then point lights around these lights. And so, for example, but before getting to that, this is without path tracing. Which I change the exposure, but this with path tracing, it gets a lot more realistic. In this case, I'm just going to turn it off and then build a point light inside of this omnidirectional light inside of this, and then turn shadow on. And so by doing that, I can just get the shadow to cast on. And then you can change the preview of path tracing. And then if you do it low, and then the quality is a little bit bad, but you can still see it. So in this case, my light is too strong. So I'm just going to change it to 20. And then it will cast these shadows, maybe 10. Okay, so by doing that, it's going to give you a lot more, kind of shadow in the space. So make sure you would do that. Okay. Lastly, I would like to talk about the scale figures. And then sometimes when you're beginners, you put too many skilled people in the space, and it gets really unrealistic and kind of hard. So the rule about scale figure is be subtle about it. Okay. So I'm just going and never use animated humans from Twinmotion. They are just really bad. So I think you can do like something like this with kind of this guy like walking into the bathroom or maybe coming back from the bathroom, and this guy is kind of checking out the display, and this lady sitting on the chair, and then maybe somebody is kind of like upstairs at the same. Okay. And so indicate where people do exist, and so that's kind of the way to do it. So when you turn on path tracing, then it will look relatively. And then I'm just going to go back to the lighting exposure. Okay, so this is the yeah. So I think in the back you need more lighting. So I'm just going to add some lighting here. So also, to select multiple objects in Twinmotion, it's Control and click, okay, and Shift and drag to copy. Yeah, I think you should be doing this more accurately, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to leave it like this. Okay. Also, I like to turn on Parallelism, and then maybe the lights should be less warm. For this particular case. For that matter, this thing, this. Okay. So the spotlight's a little bit too strong, so intensity 20. And then Omnilights intensity 8. So that's good, and then we go to the lighting exposure. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So you can just render it from now on. So I hope this was helpful. So if you control the Skydome, okay, so this is the case without Skydome. This is no Skydome. The lighting is relatively even and flat. And then if you turn on Skydome, and then it gives you more subtle and nuanced lighting. And then this is without the path tracing, very flat. This is with the path tracing. And so you will get a lot more nuanced lighting in the space. So I hope this was helpful, and please use Skydome and path tracing for your project. Path tracing takes about 3 minutes for the realistic scene to render. So this is not quite realistic to render an animation. If you do have that out of time and be done with it, I'm sure it's going to produce a beautiful animation. But think about path tracing as a more like a still image thing. Okay. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in next video. Thank you.